Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you so much for joining me. Today we are going to be making a couple of very simple, beginner-friendly projects using the Ghoulish Goodies, and this is the latest treasure edition subscription box from Potomac Beads. And I know I have the daggers out here right now. These are the check glass daggers in amethyst. I have those out here because I'm going to be doing something with the daggers. That was a special request from Lori, and thank you so much for giving me an idea as far as what beads to use next. However, the first thing I'm going to do is exactly what I described in my unboxing, and that is just making a simple pearl necklace. All I'm going to do is string this up, add some gold-filled findings to this, and call it a day. It is as simple as that. I thought of adding some of these gorgeous Montana blue seed beads. Here they look really dark, and they're not. Once you get them down on the mat, they don't look, they're not as dark, and it's just because they're all piled in there together. This is the box here, and then I'm gonna pick some stuff out of it. I did take the 4mm strands, took those apart, and I was thinking I was gonna use that with those, but I might use that with those and maybe, okay, we'll see if that works. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and push this off to the side. And we're also going to push this one off to the side. And I do have some findings for that when we get there. All right, so these are the Potomac Pearls in Cream 4mm. I love, absolutely love the Potomac Pearls. They are beautiful. And let's see, this is my 10th box. And I would say at least 6 or 7 boxes have had some sort of color of these Potomac Pearls. And guess what? It's good. You cannot put in too many Potomac Pearls because they are amazing. So one of the fun things, I'm going to tell you, one of the fun things that Potomac Beads does is that what they do is they will include a fun tool. We got a tape measure 1 month. We got where the box, and I have it, it's sitting across from me right now, but that's where I put all of my little inserts. But we have a binder, and the box has binder clips inside. It's a little bit longer than the standard box, and it's a binder box, and it's absolutely cool. Well, this month is no different. We have some cutters. So we're gonna go ahead and use some of those cutters because we did get some dragon thread, which I've never used before. So I'm pretty stoked about that. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're gonna bring in some of my gold-filled crimp tubes. These are 2x2 crimp tubes. I get these from Softflex Company. And then what else? I'm going to go ahead and use, also from Softflex, I use the champagne. It's a beautiful gold color, and that's what I use. And I work from the spool. If you guys have watched any of my videos, you know that I like to work from the spool, and I learned that pretty much early on when I started this beading adventure, I guess I would call it. And I learned that early on. I can't remember where I learned it from, but I had, oh, looks like maybe a little bit of fuzzy. I learned it early on, and then I just started doing that. And so that's how I learned, and that's also how I continue to work. Oh my goodness, this box is just incredible. During my unboxings, I don't realize how many times I spit out ideas. And I will spit out ideas and not realizing that I'm actually providing some creative ideas. Well, I did have a couple of comments during my unboxing, and thank you so much. I love the comments. I read them all. If I miss one and not reply, sometimes I feel like I reply and then I go back and it'll say, oh, you haven't replied. And I know I did. I remember writing to them, and sometimes that does happen. But I will go back. I will go back in my unboxings and say, oh, I know I had an idea for a necklace. What was that idea? I can't remember what it was. And I will go back in my unboxings and go and see what that idea was. All right, so we are going to get 16 inches. It's going to take me 16 hours to do this because as I talk, I'm not completely focused, but yeah. So I do want to thank you all for your comments. I did ask, what do you want me to make? And I was reading through the comments, and my wonderful friend, Lori, we see each other on different lives all the time, and she is absolutely wonderful. She's new to beading, and I am so glad she found me, and I hope that she can learn a few things from me, like what I did with my designers that I came across and my early on, and inspired me to do what I'm doing now. And actually what I did was I subscribed to a monthly subscription, and I didn't know about monthly subscriptions until this one. And the reason why I followed it, or the reason why I subscribed, was because the designer was, she was the second designer I ever came across, and I noticed this subscription, and I thought, well, you know what? I want to learn how to design. I want to learn how to make jewelry. And the way to learn how to make jewelry is, the best way is to get a subscription. Get a subscription. Not only will you get ideas from other people here on YouTube and on Instagram, and you will also be able to build up some stash too. And that's how I started building up my stash. And then now we're here with Potomac Beads subscription box, and it's no different. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm not going to make you sit through this because I am so far away. And if any of you have seen pearls, pearls have very small holes. And so I may need the assistance of my beading awl to help get this thick 49 strand wire through each bead. We're only about 4 inches in, not even. We're about 3.5 inches in, and we've got how many more to go? 12.5 inches to go. So we're going to be here for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera. Now these are all going easy. I'm going to go ahead and go off camera and give you guys a chance to go and grab something, hit pause, jump over to Potomac Beads, get your subscription, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish this off. I'm going to show you how I finish off my fine line jewelry with my gold filled hardware. Yep, these are starting to go in super easy now. It was just that beginning. And again, I'm still just working from the spool. So I'll go ahead and I will come right back. Okay, so I'm going to come back just real quick, and you'll see that, again, this is for the newbies too. You see when I'm pulling them off from the strand, I am pulling off about 3. I have big fingers, so I'm pulling off 3, and I'm trying to keep them in the line. Sometimes if you have a thinner wire and if the holes are larger, you can actually string directly onto your beads when they are on the string that they came with. But what I'm doing is, all I'm doing is just grabbing 3 and I'm keeping them all in a row. And sometimes with a larger hole bead, more so, but you can actually fit your wire. Like I just fit the wire through the last two. So there's just a little bit of a tip. Again, we're only about 9 or 7 inches in. So I just thought about that as I was sitting here, because as I'm sitting here stringing, I'm still thinking about you guys, even though I let you go. So I'll let you guys go back again and we will come back. Okay, I'm back for a little bit of a check-in, and I just realized, well, I realize every time, and I think I say this every time, as I'm going, I'm just gradually moving, and I apologize for going out of frame. If I'm not centered, I really should maybe double tape this thing down, but I don't want to ruin it. This mat, it was a little freebie, I think, with my tools, my very first tools that I ever got. And I still have them, even though I don't use them, I still have them. And so it's kind of a little bit of a sentimental, but I think I need to get one that is bigger so that you can't tell when I'm going off-centered as much. Now, the reason why I did bring you back too is because I don't think I'm going to use the full 16 inches. Here's why. Because your clasp and the hardware, I need wire guardians. Oh, that all takes up probably about an inch or so, maybe even a little more, depending. I am not, well, I guess I can put my clasp directly onto the necklace, but I want to keep this short. And so I think I'm not going to go as long as I had first thought. So I first thought, because the 16 inches going all the way around, it's perfect, right? But I really only need probably about 14 and a half. And I say 14 and a half because if I have an inch, then I always do an inch and a half of an extender. If I go 14 and a half, I will still then get 15 and a half and get a 17-inch necklace. And I can always add more extenders. Let me check. Okay, so while I was away, I went ahead and grabbed some gold-filled wire guardians. And what are wire guardians? They are exactly that. And I went on my pen. They protect the wire. There's 2 tubes on each side. It's like a horseshoe. And there's 2 tubes on each side. And that's where you're going to thread up and then back around. And around the top, that arch there, that is grooved. It has like a little canal in there. That's where your wire's gonna, where your wire is going to sit, because then it's not exposed. It's still all protected. And the reason why I do this is because someone might be very active. I might be very active and I want to protect my wire. It's very good beading wire. However, though, I don't want to put any stress on it that it doesn't need. So I have just over 14 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3 more. So then that gives me my 14 and a half inches. And of course, this last one is going to be tough. There we go. I have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I have 12. So I can make a couple of earrings with those. So I'm going to go ahead and just put those, unstring them. I know I should have just tied a knot in there, but there's not that many to string if I'm going to string. All right. So now, I think this is the other part of the string. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to finish this off. I'm still attached here, but I have it off so it doesn't get kinked. Okay, so this side's always the easiest side because you have your extra and we're going to scooch everything up. But we're going to go ahead and pick up our 2x2 crimp tube, just like so. Oh, I should tell you what tools you need for this. You're going to need some chain nose pliers if we're going to go ahead and use that jump ring. You're going to need some cutters because we're going to need to cut the wire. And if we're using jump rings, I do like to use a bent chain nose plier to help me out. And then you're going to need some standard crimping pliers. And that's what we're going to use first. So I have my 2x2 crimp tube. Now I'm going to go ahead and thread on my wire guardian. So I went up one side and then I'm coming back down the other. And this is, like I said, this is 49 strands. It should go through there. And sometimes I just have to give it a little bit of a beveled end. Sorry for all the noise. So I just kind of go in on its side and see if I can get it in that way now. And just bevel it a little bit. It's going to get trimmed off anyways, and that's what it needed. It could have been when I cut it, I didn't cut it very well, and so it made for kind of maybe a blunt cut. All right, so here we have our wire, and then you see how you don't see the wire because the wire is sitting inside there. What I want to do is I'm attaching my extender chain directly, and so if I know that I'm going to be doing a side of this that has that direct connection, I will try and do that first, just because then I don't, if I forget, when I go over to the other side, I'm not messing anything up. So you see how this is going up against the wire here? I don't know if you can see it, but it's going up against the wire. I like to close that off a little bit. And the way I do that is with the front notch of the standard crimper tool. And I just put it in the very front notch, closest to the tip. And then I just close it off, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and give it my squeezes here and close that off. And then this will not go up against any of the wire. So now I have my one side is in between my thumb and my index finger. Then the other is in between my thumb and my middle finger. And what I'm wanting to do is separate that so that when I give that squeeze, so I'm separating here, and when I give it that squeeze, you have one wire on one side. You see how it's a little, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a crescent moon. And so one side is on, one side of the wire is on one side of the crimp tube, and then the other side of the wire is on the other. So they're separated. You don't want them crossing. You're not going to get a good finish. And it's not cosmetic. It's actually more secure to do it that way. I know I'm not going to fit that second piece through. I normally will, only because when I fit a second piece through, that's all nice and centered, okay? Because you know how it was up against two. It was separated by the two sides. So you can see that there. You can see that this wire is here and this wire is there. Excuse me. I like to pass through. And the only reason why I like to do that is just cosmetic. It has nothing to do with security. This is fine. I can trim right up against that crimp tube and it is secure. For me, it's just about keeping it centered. So I do have to come in with my flush cutters and cut. I will save this because when I use my magical crimpers with those 2x2 crimp tubes, I like to pass a third piece of wire. So I will always save those. So I do not consider that waste. All right, now when it sits on top of here, it's a little off-centered. And that's just me. No one's ever gonna know. Now you guys know. Now something else with tight fitting beads on beading wire, you can coil your beading wire. So as you're scooching, you notice I didn't do just one swift scooch because some of them are tight and I don't want to coil up the wire. How do I know that it does this? Because I did it. It was one of my little newbie rookie mistakes. All right, so now I'm just going to trim off about 1.5 inches because I don't need very much. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my 2x2 crimp tube. I'm going to pick up my wire guardian and hopefully get that through. If not, you saw how I resolved that issue. Now, since I have a jump ring that I'm going to use for my finish on this side. I'm gonna go ahead and attach a jump ring to my spring clasp. All right, so here we have it. Now, I don't want a tight, stiff necklace. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring those together. See how much extra it brings too. So then I have a little bit extra to work with. So I don't want a stiff necklace. So I will typically form my necklace and then get that all nice and snug and tight. And depending, sometimes I will straighten it out if I'm up against like a crystal bead or something. I will go ahead and straighten this out, and it'll give me a little bit of room, and then I can still have a little bit of room in between that bead and where I'm going to be crimping down. And then I can see that my wires are not crossed as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and give it that squeeze, come around 90 degrees and give it a little bit of a turn. And then I'm going to come in as close as I can without snipping the other side. And then again, so I mean, really I had two pieces that size. So I had maybe 3/4 of an inch waist, but again, I use those. All right, so now let's go ahead and we are going to grab our chain nose pliers. So we're gonna grab our chain nose pliers, and these are gold filled jump rings. And I'm gonna open it front to back, not out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my gold filled spring clasp. And go ahead and get that closed off. And I really, really love these jump rings because you can't even tell where the slit is. And there you have it. You have a very fancy, plain, simple pearl necklace. And again, this is probably about 15¼ to 15½ to 17 inches once you add that extender. So very cute. Very, very cute. All right, let's go ahead and get some of these little fuzzies off. And we are gonna go ahead and bring in, I think we're gonna do some seed beads. And I feel like I wanna do seed beads around the side and back. Oh, so you see how once you get them out of the tube, they're that Montana color. And so I have some 7-strand beading wire, and it's kinked because it's a huge spool. And so when I finish it off, I put it in and out of a loop so that I don't have to, so it doesn't go everywhere. So what I want to do first is I'm actually going to let's bring out our, yeah, see, that's 8 inches. All right, so I don't want this to be a long necklace, just like the other one. And so I want to start, and I think I'm gonna do, let's see, 4, 4, 8. And if I do, oh no, that's too much. So if I do 3, 3, that's 6, and then do 10, no, I don't think I have 10 inches of that to do. So let's do 4 and 4. So 4 and 4 is 8, and then we'll have another 8. So yeah, we'll have about a 16 inch, and that'll be perfect. So we're gonna do about 4 inches. And what I mean by 4 inches on each side with having 8 inches in the middle is we're gonna bring in the daggers, and I think we're gonna bring those. That's really pretty. Ooh, those all do look really good together. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and string on. I love using seed beads for the upper part of a necklace just because the seed beads, they're simple and you don't have some fancy design hidden by hair. Because I always wear my hair down. Some people wear their hair up and then they see all that fanciness, right? But I don't ever wear my hair up. All right, so this is probably, oh, it's 1.5 inches. So we are gonna go 2.5 more inches. Did I say 4? I did say 4. I think I did. 4, 4, 8, and 8. Yes. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to just continue on, and I'm going to keep you here the whole time. So how many of you guys are Potomac Bead subscribers? We're going to go from 4 to 8. And do you subscribe to this treasure edition? Do you subscribe to the kit edition? Or both? And have any of you won the golden ticket? They do. They have 5 golden tickets for the treasure edition subscriptions, and then they have 5 golden tickets for the kit edition, and they will just randomly insert 1 or 5 in. Let's pick off 2. They will randomly insert 5, so 5 treasure editions and 5 kit editions, and so they have 10. You have 10 chances to win. And they have goodie bags. I've never seen one of their goodie bags. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to do some of these. These are those check glass smooth round 4mm topaz. That was for treasure box. And then we have these check glass daggers in amethyst. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I want to do, I think, let's go ahead and add one of these. So we're going to have 8 inches. So we will see. We'll see what this looks like. I thought of putting the big ones by the dagger, but I kind of think, as I was getting these out, oh, I kind of like that. That's pretty. Okay, so we need 8 inches of that, and this is about a 1/2 inch. So we're gonna need, there's 4, 6, 8, and then 10, 12, 14. Well, we're going to use 14. And if we have to add more, so say I don't have 8 inches of this center that I'm wanting, when we go to cut the other side, we will just add on this side what we add over on the other side. All right, so now let's go ahead and go like so. Go like so. Oh, do you want to see what it would look like with the having this up against it? Let's see. I guess I should have tried that, because you never know if you like it until you try it, right? And I hadn't tried it. I just thought the darker would look really good next to it. Let's see. I think I like the dark. I think I like having that dark for me. And this is mine. So I'm going to go the dark. And then as I'm going through, I will just kind of verify. And if you don't want to use these, you don't have to use those topaz. You can just very simply just go ahead and continue using just your seed beads. And that is perfectly fine too. I just thought these were so pretty. Oh, I love those daggers. Oops, I need to put on a blue. So wait, this is, let's see how long the 4. The 4 are, that's 2 inches. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, hey, I think we have exactly what we need. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. And I am going to go ahead and continue moving on so that you don't have to watch me do this. And I will come back when I get towards the end. Okay, I'm coming back early because when I was checking the sizing to see, I liked just this small amount sitting around my neck. Now I am doing an odd number. So I'm doing an odd number. So I had 4, I had 8, and I thought that was pretty perfect. However, though, I want an odd number so that there's something in the center like that. So now what we're gonna do is we are done with the daggers. So I'm gonna put the daggers away. And I only need one more of the little topaz guys, right? So let's go ahead and put those away. And then what we're gonna do is, so I have 4 inches of seed beads on this first part. So let's go ahead and we're gonna do another 4 inches. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna add another 2 inches and we'll see what that looks like. So, oh, these are so pretty. I just love this color. It is absolutely stunning. Now with the seed beads, yes, if you want to count them and make sure you have exactly the same on each side, that's okay. I've kind of, I guess, so if I was brand new, I'd be counting them. Now, a couple years into it and doing recordings and stuff like that, for something like this, I'm not too worried about having the exact same. I do want at least the length to be about the same. And I do try, I will eyeball stuff. So I have learned that eyeballing is okay. It's all right. Though, you know, the novice or the beginner part of me is no. All right, so we have 3 so far. So we are gonna go, we need 1 more inch. 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. Is 10 an inch? No, must be. And here I am counting. So, all right, let's see here. I just want about an inch. Okay, so I should have 4. Measure twice, cut once. Okay, so I should go from 3 to 7, and I do exactly. All right, so let me see what this looks like on. See how much. I think maybe just about 1.5 inches. So let's just do 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna keep those away from here because I've already got my 4 inches already played out. And so now I just need 1.5 inches. Didn't I say these were simple stringing projects? And an hour and a half later, we're still working on it. Well, I am. It's not been an hour and a half. I'm completely exaggerating just to fill up the awkward silence. Okay, so here we go, and I need 1 more. All right, so I'm gonna put it back on and put it in the middle. I'm going off camera. I have a mirror behind me, that's why. 1.5 inches was perfect. Okay, so we are gonna keep these out. We're gonna keep our tape measure out because we still need the 1/2 inch. And I need some wire guardians. Why am I forgetting the wire guardians all of a sudden? I have some crimp beads. So there is a difference between crimp tube. You saw the tube, it was a tube. The beads are a bead. It doesn't matter. I started off with crimp beads. I didn't do crimp tubes. And I did very little with, I did very little with crimp tubes. I was kind of intimidated by them, I guess. But yeah, they're fine. So let me go grab some wire guardians. Okay, so speaking of intimidating, what intimidates you? If you watch any of my videos, you know what intimidates me. And that would be a simple loop. That's not so simple. Okay, so you see how it's kinked right there? So I actually would try to fit that to where I can get my wire guardian over that, because I don't want that kink to be within my necklace. Okay, so now let's go ahead, and I just realized I don't even have a jump ring either for the clasp, so I'll need to get that. Okay, so the kink is right there. Let's go ahead and bring it down. There we go. I kind of felt it go in place. All right, and since we are using a jump ring, we don't have to worry about, I'm just trying to get to where they're not crossing. You see, I can see they're not crossing. Then just go ahead and bring that all together, and they're not crossing. Now, I'm not too worried about, I guess I could be a little worried about the metal going on to my wire. So let's go ahead and bring these together. Why change now, right? Okay, so I'm keeping those separated because it's the same as with a crimp tube. You do not, it's the same as with a crimp tube. You do not want to cross your wires. Okay, you're gonna do the same that you do with the crimp tube and separate and squeeze. And again, it separates it. It does exactly what the crimp tube does. Get that in the center there and give it a squeeze. And you notice I haven't put any crimp tubes, or not crimp tubes, but tube cover, crimp covers on them. I don't do that. I guess I shouldn't say never, but it's not my standard. Okay, so you saw I can go ahead and fit one of these, and that's all I'm going to do is one. Because see how nice and centered that is on there? And then I'm going to come in with my cutter, get as close as I can to that bead, and give it a trim. And it just, I don't know, for me, it's just that. It's cosmetic. But I think it just adds a little level of something. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this back down. These beads are not so, they have nice size holes. So those just slid right down. Now, when I go to cut from my big spool, I need to remember I'm going to be adding another 1.5 inches. So I'm probably going to come out about so, and I'm actually going to come about here. And the reason why is because of where my spool is, where the little notchy is for me to string this through. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and string this through the little notchy here. So I go up and then back down, just like so. And then it keeps it pretty secure. So yeah, I do waste a little bit. I'm okay with that. I mean, not really, but I am. All right, so now let's go ahead and add 1.5 inches. That is so pretty. Okay, so let's go ahead and add 1.5 inches. And I want that to stay away. So I can just go ahead and put my finger down right there. And I can actually kind of put my finger at 1.5 inches-ish. And no, because this wire is, I'm using 7-strand, and so it doesn't flow. It's a little stiff, which that's what I wanted. I didn't want a flowy necklace. I wanted something that was going to be on my neck. So that's something to always take into consideration when you're making your jewelry. Do you want it to flow, or do you want it to be a little stiff? All right, so let's take a peek at this. And that is exactly 1.5 inches. Okay. I have a lot. I went way overboard on that. Okay, let's go ahead and put our seed beads away, because if you are like me, if I have seed beads on my mat, I flip my mat, seed beads go everywhere. I have wall-to-wall tile. It's never pretty. All right, so I'm going to keep this all nice and in its little place right here. And I'm going to show you why I don't necessarily need to straighten it out like I did the other one. Okay, so I have this. Let me see if you are in. Yeah, you're in the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and go here. And I'm going to pick up my wire guardian. And I'm not attaching directly to anything here. So, all right. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass that back through my crimp tube. Now I'm going to pass it through that very first seed bead, and then I can pull this, and I just feel like I have a better grip when I pass it through. I don't want it to be all twisty, but it's going to be all twisty. All right, so now let's go ahead and close that off a little bit. Perfect, yes. Make sure that your wire is sitting in your, make sure it's sitting in the little well there. I'm actually probably going to go ahead and open it up a little bit, stretch it out, because I don't want to ruin these seed beads. Okay, let's get that a little. All right, so now let's bring this out a little bit. Just like so, get that seed bead away from there, and then I'm going to go ahead and crimp down and then turn on its side and make sure I'm away from my seed bead and crimp down. Now I'm going to go ahead and come in with my cutter tool and give it a little bit of a trim. And if you have to, go ahead and just see, there was a little bit poking out, and I'm able just to poke that into the next one there. That's the one thing, that's the other pitfall of going through one bead, is that you might get a little bit of a pokey. All right, so this is the clasp, and I typically don't like using open jump rings to connect to, but these are super duper strong, and they are super, super thick, and I am okay with that. And see, look, you can't even see where the seam is. All right, let me let's grab another jump ring. All right, so let's go ahead and open this up and add our lobster clasp. And close it up. Did you hear that? It locked into place. I love locking jump rings. All right, so there we have it. We have a couple of necklaces that you can very easily wear together, but let's get the rest. Here's my scraps. Yes, very long piece. I know. I'm okay with that. All right, so here we have our necklace with our daggers, and our necklace, just our pearl necklace with some gold-filled findings. So there you have it. There are 2 easy necklaces using the Ghoulish Goodies. This is the Treasure Edition bead box from Potomac Beads. Be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Comment. I love to see what everybody has to say, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.